All right, and with that, welcome to the KCP community call. It is dark and windy and rainy outside. And that's the weather report from Germany for this week. Before we get started, as usual, this is a CNCF governed meeting. That means the CNCF code of conduct applies here. And that boils down to let's be excellent to each other. So let's be excellent to each other. All right. With that out of the way, we don't really have many agenda points, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll find some topics to talk about. Before we get started with any topics, we usually have this item here on the agenda. Is there anyone here who is new or has joined after a long time who wants to introduce themselves?
Yeah, so hello everyone, Summer joining in. So I'm new and I recently discovered KCP and I'm still exploring it. So just wanted to be part of the meeting. But what connects me to KCP is that we were working on a similar project internally, and I think we could definitely leverage the work that is already being done in the community. So I just wanted to explore this.
All right, welcome, Samar. Great to have you.
Welcome. And if you have any questions, ask here on our Cube Slack. We're always glad to help.
Yeah, so definitely. And maybe if you have something that I'm also willing to contribute. So maybe I'll just look for some good issues, first issues, and maybe if you have something in mind, then just let me know.
All right, that sounds promising. But yeah, when you explore KCP and you find something, you're like, okay, maybe this looks weird or something. Trying out KCP will probably also potentially at least yield your own issues to work on. So that might also be a way to approach it. Like once you have a better understanding of it, you probably have something you're like, okay, maybe I can fix this.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Then with that, moving on. We only have one topic on the agenda and I just threw it in there right before we started the recording. I just wanted to have a quick check-in regarding the release. I think we are in a good position now. Let me bring up the milestone real quick. So the milestone right now only has 4 issues left. So this looks pretty promising. I just don't know if that is complete. I know we just completed 2 bigger items on the agenda, one of them being the virtual resource aggregation and the other one being, help me out, the Terminator feature, which I think just merged, but I'm not quite sure if it's even on the agenda here. That's not on the milestone, but yeah, I think that were the big 2 features we were basically planning to include in the release. So from my perspective, these are the next items to tackle so we can target a new KCP release. Does anyone know of something that, for example, Robert, you worked on the resource aggregation. I think you have like a documentation PR pending or so. But is there any follow-up work that needs to be done before release?
So mainly the bug that you see there is cached objects are populated with partial metadata. I'm looking at that at the moment. Well, let's see. The feature itself, virtual resources, it is testable without fixing these bugs first, but let's see if we can make it. Do we have a deadline for the release?
I don't think we have a hard deadline, but I would ideally try to get this done within the next 1 or 2 weeks, if we can. Like if we have open issues that are release blockers, like that's fine to delay, but soonish I think is the answer.
Okay. As a concept, I think virtual resources are okay as as they are at the moment. We really want to get this bug fixed eventually, but I wouldn't want to block the release just because of that. So the consequences of what this would entail is that if you have your cached resources bound to a workspace, you would see only the object metadata. And this is not something you would not something that would be sufficient for some production use, but if you want to just test the feature, I think it's okay. At least that you see those objects that are there in the workspace. But if you want to actually do something with them, do something useful, this would be possible only after fixing that bug.
Okay. I think the question is, how complicated do you think that bug is?
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, having a dynamic client informer counts on like listing objects as a partial metadata. If I tried to give this discovering dynamic shared informer a regular dynamic client, then it just tells that we cannot do wildcard watching on a specific GVR. So to be honest, I'm not sure. I will need to still yeah, enjoy.
I would check our replication code, not the one which used in a cached resource, but a generic one. Because when we replicate workspace types, RPACs, and all the other stuff, those are full replicated objects. So
Okay.
there should be a case already with that in our code base.
But are those, is this like KCP cluster informer or dynamic
Yeah.
informer?
I don't remember. I think it's dynamic because the controller is dynamic in nature. It replicates based on annotations and labels.
Okay.
We can take it offline, but I think this can slip the release. I think we have a code pattern for that in code base. You just need to find it.
Okay, that would be great if we have something like that already in place.
Okay, sounds promising. I'll change back to the meeting notes. Yeah, okay. So I think then the biggest, so we have a Kubernetes rebase. If anyone who has done that before wants to tackle it, like please be my guest. Like we just want to do a patch rebase. So we pull in the latest, I think 1.33 of Kube. Hopefully that is just like cleanly applying, but you never know with rebases. If no one wants to pick that up, I might take a shot at it. Yeah, or MJ, like we can see basically next week.
I am interested in giving it a shot, and then we'll ask you 1,000 questions if everything fails.
And we're gonna ask you to fix everything what fails.
Okay, sounds good. Deal.
All right. Yeah, might be a good idea to start with a patch release rebase before doing one of the monster ones. I think quite a few people in this call can attest to them being a bit painful.
This is what I was thinking as well.
Okay, great.
Shouldn't they now be a bit easier thanks to our monorepo?
No, that's not really monorepo stuff. It's the Kubernetes fork that needs rebase.
Oh.
Okay, All right. Then there's one thing that I just wanted to bring up. We probably have to hand this to Marco when he's available. MJ discovered some challenges with the SDK. So basically, we now have kind of two types of Go modules in our repo. We have the ones that we have had before, the SDK and the CLI, and we have the staging repos. And unfortunately, the SDK depends on one of the staging repos, or two actually, I don't know. So now we need to untangle that a little bit. And Marco has the most experience with the publishing boards. I could see it being the possibility that we might need to make the SDK and potentially the CLI repos both staging repos as well. So that they can be cleanly updated by publishing bots on release. That might mean the SDK will change locations in the next release, which is not ideal. I don't know if you can soft link these things. Can you?
You can commit soft links in Git. So
Ah.
as long as people don't have fancy dev environments, that should work.
No, I think the nature of the sync here is that the replace directives that are causing the problem will be replaced in the repo once it's synced to the target. It is not replaced in the main repo.
Yeah, let's leave it to Marco. It's like, I would like CLI and SDK to stay in a root, so maybe we can do some funky things like copy and publish or something like that. I don't know. Let's discuss this. I think.
Yeah, I think the only way to retain that behavior would be to basically cut the core module tag, which will then sync all the staging repositories, and then have a separate commit that updates CLI and SDK. And that would then be the tag for the SDK and CLI releases. So they would be tagged differently. That would be possible. It's just like one more commit basically that we would then need to push to main. But it's at least something that we could do if we're okay with that release process.
Yeah, let's take this offline. Once Marco back, we can kick a thread in a Slack channel.
Yep, sounds good.
For now we unblocked, so we can, just for awareness, I hard coded a module previous tags in the SDK, so it's installable. But I think we need to make a decision before release.
Yeah, no, we definitely need to. And we have to cut a release candidate beforehand to make sure that all the release automation really works. So yeah, that's upcoming. That's I think the second or third basically bigger thing that we need to tackle before the release. But yeah, okay. Do we have any other topic? Does anyone have something to discuss? Christoph, you have a topic.
Yeah, the thing I just showed you earlier today. I was playing around with API exports and API bindings and permission claims. And what I've done, sorry, I can't show to you, it's on another computer, is I've created an API binding for my API export and I've claimed secrets. And in my API binding, I set the selector to match all. So I want to consume every secret in the workspace, and that works perfectly fine. If I now change the API binding and replace the match all with a label selector, then it takes a long time for KCP to finally update the labels and make the secret actually unavailable in the API export. We waited a few, I don't know, minutes even, but we saw that after restarting KCP, KCP would eventually change and update the labels on the secrets. But it felt like it took a long time. And I'm not sure if that's a bug, a problem, a security issue. Yeah. Anyone got feelings for that? MJ, you try to unmute yourself?
I feel we're missing a reconciler loop somewhere in a trigger.
Could be, yeah.
Like feels like you basically restart, rebuild the cache, and you got it updated. Or if you wait around, it's just a sync period.
Yep.
So raise a bug and we dig it out.
Okay, Simon.
Yeah, I have a question and a comment on this. So I've noticed something similar when using role bindings for like our custom verbs. And I guess in multi-shard, they also get replicated to the cache. Could this be related? Like it finishes eventually, but it takes like maybe 20 seconds, 15 seconds until it's replicated.
Custom verbs, you mean the verbs on a permission claim?
Yeah, for example, like terminate. Like terminators, they have their custom verb terminate, and then with role bindings and everything. But Marvin is already raising his hand. I'm just curious if it's like related.
You're talking. Sorry, you're talking about two distinct things.
Okay.
So Simon is talking about, so some cluster role bindings and cluster roles are synced to the cache so that every shard has access to them. Christoph MJ, that's the bug that we found in Simon's branch a while ago. And Christoph is actually talking about the process where objects in workspaces are labeled to be available through the permission claim, let's say, windows that the virtual workspace for API exports provides. So Christoph's part is not related to the cache.
Okay.
Cool.
Christoph?
No, just correct.
Okay. With that being said, I would think that 15 to 20 seconds for cache replication is probably okay. Like I would not consider that to be too aggressive. And the cache is async in a way. If it's longer than that, like if I think talking about minutes, then I would be more concerned.
And this is the make, run, shared stuff, right? It's like running on your machine type of thing.
Yes.
That is quite resource heavy, so I would expect it to be like 10 seconds, something. I think at some point we need to start deploying this thing in a more production capacity and testing it in a real prod environment with a cache. But for this, we need a separate one. KCP operator doesn't support yet external cache, so we need to do that.
Yeah, probably have to implement that at some point. But yeah, I agree, Christoph. I think this is a bug. We should raise it, and we probably have to add in trigger somewhere when you change the API bindings permission claims that the labeler, controller, or whatever component there is involved has to re-trigger, basically.
No, I create a bug. A ticket. The bug is on there.
Okay, great. All right. Any further topics? Okay, seems to be a quick one. Stay to one. No topics? Okay, cool. In that case, I only have one item left on the agenda, a reminder that one of the CNCF ambassadors, Henrik, will be presenting KCP on Chat Luke Beckhoff. Oh, where's the no? In about 40 minutes, I guess. So I will be watching that. Henrik asked for some help on the Slack channel already. I think we were able to help him. So I'm looking forward to seeing KCP in action there. So yeah, fingers crossed for that.
And with the same, can you, Marvin, find or Simon and paste your link from 2 days ago? I know you might not want to promote yourself, but Marvin and Simon did a very nice webinar, like a bit of deep dive, mid dive about KCP a few days ago too, which I found it very interesting and quite insightful. So if you have spare minutes, I would recommend watching this one too.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, MJ. I'm glad to hear. that, I was also very happy, I have to say, about a lot of questions. Like the audience, I think, was really actively thinking, oh, how can I use that? Which is always great. So also thanks to all who like attended and might also be watching this year, because it's, yeah, quite the heavy KCP week. But yeah, and also should be noted, thank you to Simon for doing this with me, and preparing the, what I would say, heavy part of the demo, because I was just browsing along KCP essentially.
And thanks for Marvin for doing it.
All right. That was, I think, enough virtual high fives for everyone. But yeah, the recording is here. The repository with some of the manifests that we used is available as well. So if you want to try that out yourself, be our guest. And with that, any last words? All right, then thank you very much. I will try to put this recording on YouTube more quickly than the last one, because I just uploaded the one from 2 weeks ago today. Sorry about that. But I hope I'll remind myself to do it tomorrow. So with that, let me stop the recording and have a great afternoon, evening, whatever your time of day is, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.